Ladies and gentlemen, lots been happening, and you have to be on top of it because if you miss out, you're gonna miss out on a whole heap of information. So, look, very important to understand how the fallout happened with Graham Potter. I'll give you my opinion on it, and I'll showcase what are some of the things that's been said, and also simultaneously, it's very important to understand who is lined up for the next managerial, position for Chelsea Football Club.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get stuck into this. First, let's take a moment to understand what has been said in regards to Graham Potter's sacking. Why has it happened? What are some of the people, the news outlets been talking about, the journalists have been talking about? I just find it strange because not that long ago, these same journalists that I'm going to showcase some of their comments now were saying that there is no issues and all the players seem to enjoy, Graham Potter's style. The vibe is great. The owners are backing him, this, that, the other. But now, literally a couple of weeks later, everything is coming out, and then you feel like, well, where was this a couple of weeks ago? But me, deep down, and I think a lot of you guys as well probably believed that no way the players could be happy, no way the situation at our football club, where we were in the Premier League table, you cannot be happy, and the kind of football that we were playing predominantly, albeit in the middle there was 3 games where we did well against obviously Dortmund, Leeds, Leicester, but predominantly in the long stretch of things we weren't doing well. So how can people be happy? Surely there would have to be a large number of players that are not happy about the situation, and surely the owners and the board would not be happy. So let's have a look at some of the news, and then we'll try and elaborate a little bit more on it. I was told the players during halftime team talks used to have trepidation almost when Thomas Tuchel used to come in. Under Potter, it was almost sort of like, oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting. He was positive when the players didn't expect him to be. That can work both ways. This is from Simon Johnson, the Athletic Football Podcast. I've always felt like that. I've always felt, and Graham Potter's demeanor, pre-match, post-match, kind of gave that kind of vibe as well. That he's not someone who's going to rip into some of these players. Apparently, there's been some leaks after the Southampton game. He was not one bit angry. He was not one bit showing that passion, that aggression, that this sort of result is not acceptable. And a lot of players sort of looked at that and thought, okay, well, we can get away with that. We can pretty much get away with everything. Whereas someone like Thomas Tuchel, when something is not right, he made sure you were well aware of that. You have to bring some level of authority in the playing group. You need to show them that you're the boss, and when things are not right, you need to point it out to them. Sometimes you have to show aggression. Not always it's going to work, but there has to be times where players need to feel that what they're doing is not good enough. They cannot get away with that. And I feel like Graham Potter, coming from Brighton, where the feelings at Brighton, when you lose a big match, when Brighton come across, let's say, Chelsea, or when they come across Man United or Man City, predominantly Brighton would be the underdogs. So losing in Brighton, it was somewhat acceptable. It was somewhat, acknowledged that, look, we are coming across teams that are better than us, bigger than us, have a bigger budget, and can get, more quality players. So whereas at Chelsea Football Club, it's different, mate. Like, it's totally different. You do need to stamp your authority, and I don't think Graham Potter succeeded in doing that. And when you don't do that, people simply won't respect you. Like, how can the players actually feel, you know what, I truly believe in what this particular manager is doing, and I want to buy in their project? They can't. It's too difficult. Chelsea decided to shock the dressing room at the same time. Some players were not very happy at all with Potter. I've said it for the longest time. I cannot imagine some of the senior players, some of the most experienced players in the team, some of the players that have won stuff at Chelsea Football Club. How can they actually be happy with Graham Potter and the situation that we're in? And some of these reports are coming out. That one came out from Fabrizio Romano. There you go. So um, amazing how all of these journalists now coming out and saying that it was never good. It was always a bit of an issue. Sources close to Chelsea squad pondered whether Potter had the force of character to convince players to do things they deep down did not want to, like Tuchel possessed. There was an expectation, and it would have even have been understood at times if Potter did things in a bid to ruffle a few feathers or pinned a few players up against the dressing room wall when things were not going to plan. Some Chelsea players felt a strong personality was needed and someone to be far more firmer with them. I think he was just trying to please every single one of those players. He wanted, not only he was deemed as a yes man, Graham Potter, to the owners. I think he was a bit of a yes man to the players as well. You cannot keep everyone happy. I'm sorry. You need to make the hard decisions. People have spoken. Why is Ziyech getting picked? Why is Pulisic getting picked? Why, kudos to him in regards to Aubameyang, but I felt like that was probably the wrong one. You probably could have used Aubameyang. But players like Ziyech and Pulisic, they've been around for a long time here, and they've never really fitted in completely for one reason or the other. And then, Ziyech was moments away from joining PSG, yet you're including him in the starting lineup. So it's things like that where I feel like you need to be a little bit more stern. You need to, yes, the owners have thrown a lot of players at you, but you still need to just knuckle down and put down your best 11 and obviously the bench players and stick to that. And the other players, that's not in your long-term plan. You need to just pretty much say, look, for the time being, there is no space for you. But I still expect you to train hard and be professional about it. And we'll see if there's any movements within the first team or in the bench where there is injuries or that, form dipping. Then you guys will be the first one called in. So you can't have 1 week this player playing, next week that player is completely not even in the squad and someone new is in the squad. You cannot build chemistry like that and trying to keep everyone happy. You have to be cutthroat. So, and elite managers, they are cutthroat. And when you're not cutthroat, players will see through that, man. Players will see through that, and players will think, you know what, you just don't have the kahunas to make those big decisions. Anger was present in Chelsea dressing room over some of the decisions, and even players who liked Potter feared he was out of his depth. Look, this is from Matt Law. Wasn't a Matt Law like not that long ago, literally 2-3 weeks ago, saying that the owners are backing him, the players are like, and now all of a sudden, apparently, players thought that he was out of his depth. I always knew the players would have thought he's out of his depth. The fans can see he was out of his depth. Potter's decision made his position practically untenable. Ziyech's start against Spurs set alarm bells ringing, having only been an email away from leaving Chelsea and sending Zakaria on when Chelsea were 2 goals down. Of course, these things will obviously, put out a bit of a shock in people's system. People in the board, owners. What are you doing? But then again, you wonder how's Graham Potter coming up with the decisions of including Ziyech or what the plan around Zakaria is. Is he? Is he just taking these decisions by himself? Is he consulting? Because if the word was that Ziyech is not really a long-term player at Chelsea Football Club, then why are you using Ziyech? Like, have you consulted, or this is just you, autonomously doing things? Like, I don't mind a manager autonomously doing the tactical side of things, but in regards to a player's future, I think that's something much like we heard, Aubameyang. Apparently, it was a board level decision that, Aubameyang should not be in the squad. So I think that's why Graham Potter was more inclined to leave him out. Similarly, what was the talk in regards to Ziyech, or Zakaria, or is it just Graham Potter making his own, doing his own thing? So there's still question marks in regards to that. The fact that Mount, who scored 2 goals against Villa last time out, was left on the bench was mind-boggling. I think this is where Matt Law, I was sort of mistaken this particular quote from Matt Law thinking this is something that was leaked or someone close to him in Chelsea Football Club gave him this information, but I think this was more of his opinion. Look, Mason Mount at least could have come off the bench against Villa, of course, but him starting, that would have been very difficult. I mean, you would have gone with João Felix, you would have gone with Kai Havertz, and someone else in the half space, and Mount simply, doesn't play at his best in that role. So, Mudryk was predominantly through the middle, and then obviously Kai Havertz and João Felix were the inside forwards. And then after that, where would Mount really start? In the double pivot? Well, that's not going to happen. So I can understand why he didn't start, and he's been harnessing a bit of an injury as well. But yeah, not coming off the bench, of course, that would send alarm bells as well to the board that, hey, what are some of these decisions that you're making? They're not really up to the mark. Chelsea believe they have a better chance of beating Real Madrid with Bruno in charge. Chelsea felt they were seeing no signs of progress. The news was delivered to Potter by Winston Lee and Stewart in a short and sharp call. I mean, believing that, Bruno Saltor, we'll talk about Bruno Saltor most likely tomorrow, early morning UK, when we'll do the match preview against Liverpool. Our next match is within 24 hours. It's against Liverpool, and there's all of this is now overshadowing that particular match. But we'll talk about Bruno tomorrow in the live stream. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea believe that Bruno could do a better job than Graham Potter. I mean, that just shows how much confidence that they've lost in Graham Potter, the board, the owners, the lot. There was alarm at Potter's tactics against Aston Villa with two centre-backs, Chalobah and Buddy Shield, on the bench. I was actually a bit thrown away by that too. I mean, Reece James as RCB, we've seen that. That's not something that is foreign to us, but Reece James operates more, at his optimum level in the right wing-back spot. But was it done because Reece James probably wasn't completely ready to play right wing back, which is a lot demanding up and down and a lot of running? But then that in itself poses a big question. Why are we trying to compromise? If Reece James is not good enough to play as a right wing back, then let him still recover. Let's not try and shoehorn him into a RCB role where I felt like Chalobah probably deserves to be there when Wesley Fofana's not fit. And apparently Chalobah trained the day before in that position with the first team as the RCB, and then match day it became Reece James, which is strange. Cucurella has done all right recently on that LCB position. He even won the Man of the Match award against Dortmund, and then he had a string of few games. So look, I can understand why Cucurella played against Aston Villa, but yeah, Buddy Shield probably someone that we should look into against Liverpool to come in that LCB position. But yeah, the Reece James situation was a bit strange. Okay, so that's all in regards to, ladies and gentlemen, Graham Potter, and I suppose some truth, whether you want to call it truth. These same journalists were talking about how everything was fine, literally 2-3 weeks ago, and now all of these information is coming out that it was never fine. So look, I tend to believe, taking away whatever you see from all of these journalists, just making your own assessment based on what you can see, based on the vibe that you get in matches, based on the body language and what Graham Potter is saying pre-match, post-match. You can tell there's no way the players can be happy. Our situation in the Premier League table, and just overall how we've played this particular season, you know that there is no way these players could be happy. So look, I tend to believe some of this stuff that's coming out now because it makes sense because results correlate to these evidence that's coming out now. Results did not correlate to what players were trying to say previously. All of these fake PR, I felt like it just didn't make sense. When you're losing and dropping points on a regular basis like that, and then players coming out and saying the vibe is great, come on. We're not stupid. So let me know, ladies and gentlemen, what you think about the fallout, the truth behind Graham Potter's demise. Put your thoughts down in the comment section. Now, let's talk about the managers. The managers that are, you know, I suppose the candidates for the managerial role at Chelsea Football Club. Who's going to be the next manager at Chelsea? Let's have a look at that. Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart now have the power and are likely to interview at least 5 potential new managers, despite Julian Nagelsmann being the early favorite. I think it's been well documented, and Fabrizio Romano is really pushing this. And I tend to, out of all the journalists, I think Fabrizio Romano, when it comes to transfer news or managerial changes, I rather stick to him because he tends to have legitimate information most times. There are certain times where he can be a bit iffy. Nagelsmann being the early favorite, which is well documented, they are likely to interview Luis Enrique and Maurizio Pochettino, whilst talks are likely to be sought with representatives of Napoli coach Luciano Spalletti. Look, I think this is a long shot. Luciano Spalletti, I think he's a very good manager, don't get me wrong. What he's done with Napoli is very, very good. So I can understand the links, but I think that's a long shot. For me, this one is an outside chance, Luis Enrique. So watch this space. Maurizio Pochettino, there's been some talks in regards to him, but me personally, I just don't want to deal with a Spurs manager, man. I feel like he's got that Spurs DNA. How could you go to PSG and not win? I know a lot of people saying that's not a good barometer to look into. There have been other managers who hasn't won in big clubs as well. But, I mean, look, he's good with the young players, development. He made Spurs relevant. I have to say, before him, Spurs were not relevant. He made Spurs into a top 6 team. So I can understand that. But even Spurs going to Champions League final, bottling that, the Premier League title chase against Arsenal and Leicester, which Leicester ended up winning. Pochettino couldn't manage to do that. I don't know, man. I don't know whether he has. I feel like he's just got that bottle job gene in him, and I'm a bit worried about that. And also that whole bad blood. He's an ex-Spurs manager. I just don't want that particular vibe. Do you know what I mean? Luis Enrique and Nagelsmann are the top candidates for me, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Let's check out some of the news. Chelsea want a manager immediately. They are going to take today, tomorrow, and the next few days to speak to managers. Nagelsmann is considered perfect CFC manager, and Chelsea is actually tempting Nagelsmann. So look, Nagelsmann literally just got fired not that long ago. So how mentally is he ready? I mean, is he over that Bayern Munich situation? It was brutal. It was ruthless the way he got sacked from Bayern Munich. I mean, his record wasn't that bad. Yeah, in the Bundesliga, he was just a point behind Dortmund, and he could have rectified that because the next game before he got sacked was against Dortmund. But I think there must have been something behind the scenes. And of course, Bayern Munich, when they saw Thomas Tuchel available in the market, they wanted to snap him up because, look, before he got sacked, they did lose to Bayer Leverkusen. There was some iffy results in the Bundesliga. My concern with Nagelsmann, I like Nagelsmann and I don't mind Nagelsmann. I think, being a young coach, I think he could resonate with the young players. I think he can connect with the young players. He's well-spoken. Tactically, he's very apt. Things that he's done with Leipzig, Champions League semi-final, that Leipzig team was fantastic. The way they played was brilliant, and they tangoed with some of the best in Europe. And then obviously we went to Bayern Munich, won the Bundesliga, won the German Cup twice. And this season in the Champions League, he was flawless. All wins until he got sacked. So he definitely has the credibility to be a Chelsea manager. My only concerns are, look, can he manage the egos? Do you know what I mean? Can he get along all the time? Is he too outspoken at times? I mean, I want someone who can definitely stand and build an authority, but at the same time, don't want someone who's just a bit too mad. Do you know what I mean? Some of the players, there were a lot of players that did support Nagelsmann, then there was a lot of players that didn't. Players like Manuel Neuer. There must have been a fallout with Manuel Neuer. There's been some rumors with Thomas Müller as well. Sadio Mane apparently didn't always take too kindly to him. Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry. So, but there were players that really appreciated him. So can he manage egos? That's the thing. There will be plenty of egos at Chelsea Football Club. But I think the players that we have right now will definitely respect him. There will be the respect level there because he's not a Mickey Mouse manager at all. So, and the other thing about Nagelsmann is it's a he plays very attacking style of football, man. There's a lot of positional play. Like sometimes you may even see 7 in attack and 3 defenders, and those attackers are fluid. All 7 can be anywhere. Sometimes you may even see. There was times where I saw Leroy Sané as the left wing back and Serge Gnabry as the right wing back. So you will see some madness like that happen throughout the game. So can our players, warm up to that? I think, and then buy into Nagelsmann's philosophy, theory. That will be something interesting to see. But look, he's got close connection with Christopher Vivell. I think. Lawrence Stewart as well. I think he's got close connection there. Maybe this particular situation, as opposed to the Bayern, could be a little bit more smoother for him. And yeah, he's definitely the clear-cut favorite at the moment. So we'll see what happens in this particular space. I would not be surprised if Chelsea and Bayern had negotiations for Barry and Nagelsmann. That's another factor which could be big because Anthony Barry wants to go to Bayern. And we do need to negotiate with Bayern in regards to Nagelsmann because Nagelsmann is still contracted to Bayern. Until he gets a job, Bayern will still have to give him the remuneration. So there could be something there. And this is another added bonus, I suppose, in getting Nagelsmann, where you want Anthony Barry, we want Nagelsmann. Let's just offset the fees and let's just make a straight swap. So that could be something there. Chelsea FC is attractive for all the top managers in the world football. This is the feeling. Why shouldn't it be? You've got owners that are looking to ball out with a lot of money, and you've got a board that is full of experts, footballing experts. So people that have run big clubs and they've got good knowledge in how to build a club up. So why not? And Chelsea, like we're one of the top clubs in Europe, so it should be an exciting location to come to. We shouldn't be too hard for us to find a manager, the right manager. Nagelsmann is open to discussing a long-term project with Chelsea. Look, no long-term projects, man. You start off with 18 months, max 2 years. And then as you go along, the wins will basically, give you further extension to your contracts. I think we should not make this mistake ever again. 5-year contract, big sum of money per year. We should not make this mistake again. Short contracts, and we'll see what your record is. You don't necessarily have to go out there and win silverware immediately, but you will be judged on silverware. And most definitely you'll be judged on how many wins are you picking up along the way. Are you making Chelsea Football Club a serious club? And if that's the case, then you keep getting an extension. I'm sorry, you're not going to get something that, a 5-year contract where it secures your future. Sorry, that's not going to happen. That's not Chelsea Football Club, because we need to ensure the manager is on their toes all the time, and consequently, they're making the players to be on their toes as well. This is why Thomas Tuchel, I really enjoyed. Thomas Tuchel accepted it. Yeah, why should it be a long-term contract? I should be able to win on a regular basis. So no more I'm all down for the project, but the project doesn't necessarily mean the manager needs to be, given a 5-year contract, because then you get into the mess that we have right now. I'll tell you straight away, whoever the next manager is, even if they go through the same issues that Graham Potter has gone through and the record that they need to be sacked too. They need to be sacked. Chelsea talks with Nagelsmann went positive. This is the latest coming from Fabrizio Romano. I'm assured that there's no firm favorite at this stage in terms of what they're looking for. Someone who is collaborative, as they like that about Graham Potter. Someone who can genuinely compete for the biggest honors, and perhaps shown that not necessarily won them on the mass, but have credible evidence of being able to get there. This is from David Ornstein. Further goes on to say, it does raise the question of how do you get there winning trophies if you're only able to turn those regular trophy winners. Perhaps there's some intermediary options. Ruben Amorim is being mentioned, would cost 16 million. De Zerbi is highly rated, but I'm not sure Chelsea would go there again. Other names being mentioned are Marco Silva down the road at Fulham. Look, Ruben Amorim, I think he's a very exciting prospect. He's doing some really good work at Sporting Lisbon. I think once again he's an outside shot. He does show, that vibe, that feeling that I get that he's probably bound to win something. The way he talks about Jose Mourinho as well. So when you have an idol like Jose, you're all about winning. De Zerbi, I think would be a good selection, but I don't want to deal with Brighton anymore. I really don't want to go there for the time being. So that's that Marco Silva look. No, that's not an option. He's doing really good stuff with Fulham, but let him just cook at Fulham. I don't need that. And obviously there's Luis Enrique and a few other names, as we said. The English language could be considered with the next Chelsea manager. People speak very highly of Luis Enrique as a man manager. There you go, David Ornstein. And English is not an issue for Luis Enrique. This is my favorite. People say, what's the difference between Luis Enrique and Nagelsmann? Nagelsmann, as I said, I think it's very attacking, high line. I don't know whether in Premier League that's going to work out, and it's positional play. There is no set structure. Players can be anywhere, anytime, depending on where the game is. It's about positional play, and players need to buy in on that. Whereas Luis Enrique, someone straight away will come in and will demand respect. He's won everything at Barcelona. To be able to manage egos in the likes of Luis Suarez, Neymar, and Messi for that long, for 3 seasons, and to be able to win, that's not a coincidence, man. Like, people think, oh, my nan can just manage them. No, your nan cannot. Best believe your nan cannot. Those are high-profile, egotistic players. It's very difficult. It can go south very quick. They all want to be heroes. They all want to be the headliner. And to be able to keep control of them, Busquets, Iniesta, and many more during that time, and winning almost everything during that time, it takes a quality manager. And I know a lot of people will say, what did he do in Celta Vigo? What did he do in Roma? What did he do in Barcelona? Have a look at that for a good stretch of time. He has that charisma as well. As I said, he's a Barca legend, man. Like, he's not someone to be looked down upon. Players will look at Luis Enrique and will straight away go, there's a good vibe about him. One thing Luis Enrique does is he's great when it comes to league football. Structured, 4-3-3. Nice build-up, but at the same time, explosive through midfield to get to the attackers quickly. He's all about the front three and then the overlapping, fullbacks. This is why players like Messi, Suarez, Neymar, they did well, because Barcelona, they spent enough time in build-up, but not like unnecessary time. It wasn't like patient build-up. They did try and get to the attacking third and give their front men all the impetus to go at the opposition. So, we've got some exciting wingers. Mudryk, Noni Madueke, they would really do well under Luis Enrique. 4-3-3, you could potentially even see Mason Mount, coming back into midfield. Enzo Fernandez, we could potentially get a DM where Enzo then starts becoming more of an 8. We could start seeing Reece James and Chilwell being traditional fullbacks and overlapping, and they're going to have to. More structure, not just open. Do you know what I mean? More structure. Players will understand exactly what needs to happen, and we could potentially see a quick uplift and very much the consistency throughout the league. The 38 games. With Nagelsmann, I feel like you do need to be patient. Players need to understand what's going on, because it can be a bit of a chaos at times. Have a look at the way Bayern plays. As I said, sometimes you'll see Joshua Kimmich in between 2 CBs, and then sometimes he's right there inside the box. Goretzka as well. Sometimes he's like a striker, and sometimes he's playing in left back. It can be mad. It can be mad. It all depends where the game is. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about everything that we've talked about, the fallout of Graham Potter and the managers that we're getting linked with. Who would you like to be the Chelsea next manager? Let me know in the comment section below. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button if you have here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Till next time, see ya.